Well, hello, everybody. Great to be back here for a holiday edition of PopStart Plus. Welcome. It is the most wonderful time of the year, after all. And in the spirit, we've got a lot to put on your what to watch radar. We're going to get some help. Our buddy Chris Witherspoon has recommendations as you just chillax over the holiday break. Plus, the cast of the new series, The Santa Clauses. And later, our conversation with Justin Hartley. He's got a new holiday movie that you may want to enjoy. Plus, Kelsey Grammer and his daughter, Spencer, visited us to chat about their new Christmas film. Lots to get to. Let's take it all in, but we'll start with our very first item. The time between Christmas and New Year's is prime for sitting on the couch and enjoying something streaming. Our friend and NBC Entertainment contributor, Chris Witherspoon, has all the shows and movies that should be on your list.
The Christmas countdown is officially on and poppin'. It's a season of favorite things, y'all. Oprah's got them, and so does Julie Andrews. So I figured, why not get in the mix with a list of my favorite movies to watch this time of year? From The Grinch to Jingle Jangle. Let's get into it. Let's kick off the franchise with the movie that made Macaulay Culkin a household name, Home Alone! I'm sure we all collectively yelled at the screen watching Kevin's older cousin count the wrong child before they headed to the airport. And we got some anxiety from seeing a 10-year-old face two grown intruders all by himself.
You guys give up, or you're thirsty for more?
But it's impossible not to get in the Christmas spirit after watching all of Kevin's shenanigans in Home Alone, and again in Home Alone 2 when he accidentally gets on a plane to New York City alone. You can watch Home Alone and Home Alone 2 on Disney+. Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. Just kidding. Next up, Calling All Angels. It's The Preacher's Wife, a film starring some of the most iconic actors and most iconic voice of all time. From Denzel Washington to Whitney Houston and Courtney B. Vance, need I say more? In it, Courtney B. Vance plays Henry, the pastor of a struggling church. When Henry prays to God for help, he is visited by an angel named Dudley, portrayed by Denzel Washington. While Dudley's mission is to help Henry with his midlife crisis, he accidentally falls in love with Henry's wife, too, played by the late, great Whitney Houston. The Preacher's Wife is a heartwarming Christmas tale sprinkled with just the right amount of comedy and music that'll make you want to get up and shout. You can now watch The Preacher's Wife on Prime Video. Now, if you really want to laugh out loud, you can't leave Elf off the shelf or off this list. Will Ferrell, aka Buddy, an Up from the North Pole, travels to New York City to find his father, who becomes convinced that Buddy is just a crazy person. Between Ferrell's hilarious enthusiasm in the role, the emotional father-son reunion, and the love story between Buddy and Zooey Deschanel's character, Jovi, Elf is one for the books. You can catch it now on HBO Max. In the words of Cindy Lou Who,
No one should be alone on Christmas.
even if Christmas isn't your favorite, you can still spend some time with another Grinch and watch How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Just please don't try and ruin Christmas for the rest of us like the Grinch did. Now, it feels like Jim Carrey was born for this role, and it's almost unsurprising that some of the best scenes, you guys, were improvised, including one of my favorite lines, 6:30 dinner with me, I can't cancel that again.
6:30, dinner with me. I can't cancel that again.
It gets me every time. You can watch this absolute classic on HBO Max. Next up, The Christmas Chronicles. This one is super fun because one of Hollywood's most beloved couples, Kurt Russell and his legendary wife, Goldie Hawn, have teamed up to play Mr. and Mrs. Claus. In the film, two siblings hatch a scheme to capture Santa Claus himself on Christmas Eve. When the plan goes left, they actually join Santa to help him save Christmas before it's too late. The Christmas Chronicles is a film that will have the whole family laughing and maybe even some folks feeling like Santa is a little hot. Yes, if you haven't heard, Kurt Russell has been dubbed Hot Santa. You can watch The Christmas Chronicles on Netflix now. Another great family Christmas film is Jingle Jangle, a musical, and it also has a stellar cast, including Forrest Whitaker, Felicia Rashad, Keegan-Michael Key, and Nika Noni Rose, and Ricky Martin. Yes, shake your mama, Ricky Martin. The story centers around Geronicus Jangle, a legendary toy maker who receives the final piece to his latest big invention, but when his apprentice steals his most prized possession, it's up to the toy maker's granddaughter to save the day. Jingle Jangle has tons of Christmas magic and a great message of hope and humanity for children and adults alike, and it's now on Netflix. Let's move to a pick for the Gen X millennial fans of The Best Man. Nearly 15 years after The Best Man was released in 1999, we got to see the characters reunite for Christmas in The Best Man holiday. All the OGs were back: Morris Chestnut, Taye Diggs, Nia Long, and Sanaa Lathan, just to name a few. And although a lot has changed in their lives, we got to see some of the same old drama and love stories play out. The Best Man holiday was so much a success that the cast will soon be back for another series, The Best Man Final Chapters. Until then, catch The Best Man holiday on HBO Max. I definitely couldn't forget one of the best Santa Claus portrayals of all time, brought to you courtesy of Tim Allen.
You said you're lactose intolerant.
I did say that, didn't I? Thanks for remembering. Go to sleep.
He rocks that red suit better than almost anyone. Now, back in 1994, the film The Santa Claus, Tim Allen first appeared as a divorced dad who accidentally killed the real Santa. Yes, I did not misread this prompter here. He killed the real Santa and later learned that he must take his place before Christmas arrives. He thinks it's all a nightmare until he magically gains weight and grows a beard. Kind of like my dream scenario, just gaining weight for Christmas. Tim Allen went on to reprise his role in The Santa Claus 2, The Santa Claus 3, and now in the limited series, The Santa Clauses. You can watch them all on Disney+. Last but definitely not least on my list of faves is A Christmas Story. It's set in December 1940 and narrated by the adult version of Ralphie Parker, played by Peter Billingsley. Ralphie revisits Christmas with his family when he was 9 years old and attempted to convince his parents to gift him his dream Christmas present. Now, almost 40 years later, Ralphie is back in A Christmas Story Christmas. This time around, he's hoping to give his own kids a Christmas as magical as the one he had as a child. Can this franchise be any more heartfelt, y'all? Someone give me a Kleenex. A Christmas Story and its sequel are now on HBO Max. This holiday season, don't forget to make time for you to relax and cuddle up with the boo or just with you and enjoy a flick from my list of favorite Christmas movies. Happy holidays today, all day fam.
Thanks to Chris for all those great recommendations. When we come back, Tim Allen's return as the Santa Claus. Welcome back. Tim Allen is jolly old Saint Nick once again, thanks to a new series, The Santa Clauses, based on the popular film franchise that explores what happens when Santa Claus realizes he can't be Santa forever. Our guy Chris Witherspoon is back and spoke with the cast.
I loved this series. Tim, I'm gonna get straight to it. The question everyone's asking is, what made you say yes to bringing back this character after 16 years?
This movie, regardless of its value, it comes on every Christmas and people love it. So I have to live this creature every year in my head, the Santa Claus. Love to. Then business affairs, I know them all really well. So would you think of doing one? And I said, okay. And it got really, really good. And then they put together a team. Some help with me, put together a team. And it just rolled into a very coherent script. It's magic and wonderful.
You know, I have a Funicino. Put cocoa in it instead of coffee. Put a little peppermint in there if you have that. Chop up some cookies and sprinkles.
Name for the order?
Santa.
Sir, my job is hard enough.
Ho, ho, ho.
Elizabeth, now listen, you slayed as Mrs. Claus since 2002. So I have to know, what was your reaction when you were told they wanted to bring this character, this franchise to TV?
Really? Really? No. Really? Nuh-uh. Really? Really? Are you sure? Are you sure? I didn't believe it for months, even after we made the deal and I was waiting to do it. I kept calling my manager and being like, is this really happening? I think I had so much joy playing Carol, and I couldn't believe I was coming back to it after 16 years.
Wait a minute. Maybe your name isn't Carol, because sometimes I call you and you don't answer me.
Carol was my before name.
Is this going to become a thing?
No, you asking me to marry you, then gaining 200 pounds was a thing. This is much bigger.
I was really excited to see what she'd be like in her midlife. I thought it was really fun.
All right, Cal, I'm curious, were you a fan of the Santa Claus film franchise before joining the series?
Yeah, I was a fan of the franchise before. I think the first movie came out when I was in high school, so that got added to the Christmas movie rotation pretty early. And then was Tim Allen, obviously hilarious, so I've been a fan of his, and Elizabeth Mitchell. So the idea that I got to come on for these 6 chapters, the kid in me was very excited, but also the adult who loves Christmas movies was equally thrilled.
Amazing, amazing. And you mentioned getting to work alongside Tim Allen, being a big fan of his growing up. Is there a moment on set working with Tim that stands out? Something that was like a favorite moment that you had with him?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Tim is so funny on screen, obviously, but even off, right? Like always improvising, always making people laugh. He's just so giving and funny and fun to be around when you're shooting scenes. I hope I get to work with him again.
Elizabeth, I have to give you a round of applause. I did not know until I read the notes that you were Tim Allen's real-life daughter. I didn't realize that. And you were phenomenal, by the way. I'm so curious, is there something new that you learned about your dad while being on set with him and working with him?
I feel like I forget sometimes about how much that he's done and how many people he's like impacted and touched. And when I was on set and I saw how people were so surprised and happy and overjoyed to see him in that Santa suit again, it like made me think about how much he's done, you know, and how many people's lives that he's changed with this franchise.
Wow. Dad! Sandra, they warned you this is what I look like here. It's Dad, me.
And Austin, was there anything that you observed from your on-screen daddy that kind of is going to like stick with you throughout your career as an actor?
Oh, so much. But just for one would be how it really did seem like second nature for him. Maybe it was just because he's been doing it for a while. But even with Elizabeth Mitchell, like those two, they had an aura about them. Like when they were on set in like the garments about like them being Mr. and Mrs. Claus, where the little extra kids that were like little elves, they would really think they were like Santa and Mrs. Claus, and just watching them kind of handle this role and like them knowing how to talk to these little kids was so awesome and sweet to see.
I'm curious, Elizabeth, having worked with Tim now for 20 years in this role, did you observe anything about how he tackled Santa this time around that might have been different from the other time?
I mean, you know, he's such an improvisational actor. And I think that what I learned this time is what a loyal guy he is. Like he has the same people working for him that have been his entire career. I watched him, you know, go in and out of this Santa and then fall right back into that gentle, knowing, magical creature. And I still kind of don't know how he does it. He arrives on set and I just want to throw my arms around him, which I do a lot. I feel like there's nothing written in the script about her kissing Santa, and I think I kiss him like 50 times.
I love that. You know, I don't say this enough, but being Santa has meant the world to me. Once a year, I get to spread joy and magic to people everywhere. But I couldn't do it without all of you, especially you two, joy and magic.
And Tim, you know, your last TV series that I feel like the whole family came together to watch in a huge way was Home Improvement. My family was part of that tradition. I'm so curious, what are you most excited for people to see when they watch this TV series, The Santa Claus, as a family?
I wanted this to be available for children and families. It's family friendly. It's also got adult humor in it. Family is important. Giving is important. Being honest with yourself is important. And humor is important. And so we hit all those beats.
Look, we live in a polarized, cynical world. That's just the reality. And this is one of those wonderful Christmas movies that you can watch with anybody. And it's going to bring out hope and kindness and all of the good things that I think we love about Christmas and the holiday season. So watch it with people you love. It's also kid-friendly. I can finally show my nieces and nephews something that I've been in, which I'm looking forward to.
Great to hear from all of them. Coming up, Justin Hartley reveals how and what he drew from his time on This Is Us for his latest Christmas movie role. We'll tell you about it next. We're back here on PopStart Plus. Justin Hartley gave us 6 awesome seasons as Kevin on This Is Us. These days, he's getting in the holiday spirit with his latest film, The Noel Diary. Since its release, it's been a Netflix top 10 hit. Joe Fryer spoke to Justin about what it was like to film and why he could use a little escape this time of the year.
This is your first Christmas holiday movie. How much have you wanted to do one of these?
Well, I actually did a little spot in one a few years ago called Bad Mom's Christmas. I did that.
Ah, yes.
No, look, I mean, it wasn't something that I set out to do, a Christmas movie necessarily. I just really loved the script, and it happened to take place during the Christmas season. I just loved the script and the character, so that was sort of the drawing points for me.
For those who aren't familiar with the Noel Diary, what's it about without giving too much away?
We meet this guy, Jake Turner, my character, who is a pretty successful author novelist. And you start to realize that this guy who writes all these romance novels and things like that, he lives a pretty lonely life, and he's estranged from his family, and he's suffered loss in the past, and he gets a phone call that his mother has passed away.
Hello? Hi, is this Jacob Turner? I'm the executor of your mother's estate. She passed last week. I really am sorry to be the one to tell you.
So he has to go sort through all of her stuff. So he goes on this journey. He meets this woman, and she's actually trying to discover something as well about her past, which leads to sort of a connection between the two of them, and a realization that, you know, sometimes things aren't always what you remember them being.
Why is it that a handsome, successful guy like you is still single?
Handsome.
Don't deflect.
This character, is it someone you could connect with at all, or was it someone totally different from you?
Oh, no, I could connect with him. We come from different family backgrounds. We have different stories altogether. But yeah, I can connect with him in that it seems like he's always searching for that family connection, which I'm fortunate. I have that. I have a pretty close family. I love all my family members. They're wonderful. But it certainly would bother me if I didn't. He's always curious. He's curious to find out what exactly is going on. He's always trying to better himself, I think. And he loves to help other people with their issues as well, which I tend to like doing that as well, helping out my friends when they need help. So yeah, we have similarities for sure.
A lot of people, of course, know you from This Is Us. Some people might see some parallels with Kevin from This Is Us, someone who has a little bit of a celebrity following, someone who has some family issues. Did you draw from Kevin at all for this?
Yeah, you know, it's hard not to, because Kevin went through so much, didn't he, in those 6 years? I mean, he did everything you can imagine. He had substance abuse issues. He lost his father. He ended up losing his mother. He nursed her through her illness. He was estranged from his brother, then they reconnected, and they fought, and they reconnected again. A lot of things that it would be hard not to relate to Kevin, I think, if you're anybody. Jake, we only have an hour and a half with him, or 2 hours with him, so we don't have 6 seasons with him. But yeah, it's hard not to draw on things from This Is Us. Not just Kevin, but all the characters, really. They all went through so much, and they're all so relatable. I tend to see myself pulling from some of those characters, some certain characteristics from those guys.
The way you describe it, it seems like every role you ever play for the rest of your life, you'll be able to maybe draw on Kevin and characters from This Is Us.
Yeah, even if it's a superhero. I'd be like, well, Kevin was an actor. So, yeah, I think so. I just think that show hit on so many different levels. So many different walks of life can relate to that show. I've always said it doesn't matter if you're old or young or black or white or a woman or a man or what language you speak or where you were born. It doesn't matter. You can relate to some things that those characters are going to on that show. So it would be hard to think of a scenario that you couldn't trace back to something that you saw a glimpse of, at least on This Is Us.
There are so many movies now in this genre, especially with Netflix and so many others getting involved. What do you think about this movie separates it from some of the others and makes it stand out, makes it special?
Well, I don't want to say we're dark, because it's not a dark movie, but it's heavy subject matter. And I feel like if you take Christmas out of the movie, which I'm glad we didn't, because I love Christmas, but the movie still holds up on its own. It's a story that happens to be told at that time of year, as opposed to a story that revolves around Christmas.
These movies also seem to be coming out earlier and earlier because there's a desire for it. If this movie's coming out in November, what is that like, and what does that say about how much either we're craving holidays and goodness right now, or we want this feeling right now?
To your point, I do think people are craving that right now. Sometimes it seems like everything is so divisive, right? You turn on the TV and it's like, you're either over here or you're over here. You're either against us or you're for us. You either think this way or this. There's all that gray area that used to be so cool to talk to people who understood you and where you're coming from, but didn't necessarily agree with everything that you were saying. It could be a moment where you can drown out all of that stuff and just sit there and watch this movie and be entertained and be moved. I'm very proud of it. I will always be proud of being a little part of things like that.
We should mention you can watch the Noel Diary on Netflix. Coming up, Kelsey Grammer and his daughter Spencer share what they love to watch together. Welcome back to PopStart Plus. Kelsey Grammer is unmistakably famous from Frasier and Cheers. Well, this holiday season, he's joined his daughter Spencer for a new movie, and Joe Fryer also spoke to them. Joe Fryer is working hard, talking to them about working together as family, and he's asked a few questions for our What I Watch series. Take a look.
Kelsey and Spencer Grammer, thanks so much for joining me. Can't wait to hear about your new movie, The 12 Days of Christmas Eve. But first, we want to get into a few What I Watch questions. Is that okay with you both?
Yes.
Sure. They're not tricky. You guys, only you know the right answers to these, all right? So first, I'll ask you, what do you watch when you need a good laugh?
The Simpsons.
The Simpsons?
And Rick and Morty.
You've probably grown up with The Simpsons, right?
I did. It was a shameless book. I did because he voiced Sideshow Bob. Or voices
I do voice
Bob.
Sideshow Bob.
Yes.
Is the defendant's attorney present?
Your Honor, I choose to represent myself. And let me say, I did try to kill the Simpsons. I truly did.
Sideshow Bob is one of the most beloved characters.
Sideshow Bob is considered, I think, the greatest animated villain of all time.
Really?
He casts a long shadow through the universe.
All right. On the flip side of things, what do you watch when you need a good cry?
The Great British Baking Show.
Cry?
I'm just kidding. That's a joke. That's a joke.
A good
it makes
cry.
me cry. They bake so well.
You can taste it almost
yeah,
yourself.
the stress is so high.
I cry pretty much all the time, so
Really?
it's okay. I mean, there's almost nothing I can't. I mean, a commercial.
Is there anything you watch that might surprise people?
Ghost Adventures.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if that's surprising, but I love paranormal shows and true crime
Those are cool.
shows.
Yeah. I mean, most I just watch kids shows, so I guess that's surprising in its
Surprising.
way.
Because you're not a kid?
Because my kids. Yeah, it's kids shows. Big City Greens and Phineas and Ferb and a bunch of other ones, but the newer ones, Amphibia, stuff like that.
Now, you are in a holiday TV movie, and for many people, those are like comfort food. So I'll ask you, what do you watch that's like your comfort food?
Well, It's a Wonderful Life and John Wayne movies. Any John Wayne movie. I love John Wayne. Still love him.
I mean, honestly, for the holidays, I usually like to watch A Christmas Vacation. It definitely puts me in the mood for it. And, also I think The Babysitter's Club. Yeah, mostly. Just like those are Beetlejuice. I'll literally watch Beetlejuice.
Oh, you used to watch Beetlejuice all the time.
All the time. I mean, when there was
all the time.
Blockbuster, he'd be like, "You're really going to get this movie again?" And I was like, "Yes, Dad.
Yes.
I want it." Yeah. So I did. I pretty much mentioned that every weekend.
She's a hurricane in all kinds of weather. Take it in time. Okay. I believe you.
Shake, 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 Sinora, shake your body liner. Shake, 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 Sinora, shake it all the time.
And singing together, you might have stolen my next question. Is there anything you like to watch together?
We'd watch An Affair to Remember. We
Right.
watched. I really liked romantic comedies. I think they were very popular in the
sure,
90s,
for me,
right?
it's
So it
like,
was like Sleepless in Seattle.
Oh, yes,
Would
yes,
be
we
on
did
a
do
lot.
that. Yep. Like,
Notting
just
Hill.
Stick needles in my eyes.
The Crab.
I used to call Notting Hill Nodding Off.
Nodding off. We put that on. The Matrix.
So,
We used to watch
Matrix
The
was
Matrix
great,
a
though.
lot.
Yeah, that was
okay,
fun.
we did put that.
Matrix
and
was great.
We would always watch blockbuster movies together.
Yeah.
Like a big giant bowl of popcorn.
Yeah.
And whatever like popular blockbuster you put it on, it was like movie night, Saturday nights usually.
I'm famous for popcorn. My
he
popcorn.
makes
Do you have a secret? What's
It's
the recipe?
I just make it from scratch. I make it.
Now I make it from scratch.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, I like that. I have to ask you, do you watch reruns of Frasier?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Cheers?
Most of them were in England. I mean, because it's on every morning. So when my wife is English, but we're there. I've worked there some. I've spent 6 months or 7 months doing a show there or something. And so we have a morning. I have a rehearsal schedule. We tend to get up a little earlier, and then that's when Frasier's on Channel 4, and it's on religiously. And people love the show there, and it's a funny show. So I tend to see it there.
They live it all over the world.
It's very nice of me.
All right, so something that might be a new obsession for many of our viewers is going to be your new movie, which is
Yes, indeed.
12 Days of Christmas Eve
definitely a part
on
of television.
Lifetime. First of all, what was it like working together on this one?
Great.
Yeah.
We had so much fun,
Yeah, right, yeah.
actually. I learned so much of what I do from him, his timing and his work ethic. And we were just efficient and fun. And we already had all of that history together, so it made it really easy.
Yeah, it was really nice to be able to say things with the mask on, right, with the mask of the character, right, that you actually mean, which is lovely, like how proud I am of her and how much I've always loved her and, stuff like that.
Well, awesome to hear from those two. Thanks to Kelsey and Spencer. All right, folks, that is your holiday edition of PopStart Plus. May all your dreams be merry and bright. Until next time, so long. Thanks for watching.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.